I received these text messages the morning after I posted that video from the subject of that video, the organizer of the Unfuck America tour. She started off by saying,
Oh, okay. We do want to listen to this. Hold on.
have you returned the rental car we paid for? Just an insane thing out the gate. I've heard nothing from this person, and the first thing they say is like, have you returned the rental car? No, because I'm a racist, right? I get all these racially motivated things, right? So, like, you want to return that racist car, right? Because, like, you don't want to be associated with me. And so I said, did I break contract? Because I couldn't remember if I signed a contract, if I'm being 100% honest. So, after I sent that message, I checked my email. Turns out I did not sign a contract, which makes her next response really weird. She said, yes, I did sign a contract. I signed a contract that didn't exist, apparently. And then she said, the car has been called in to be returned today. Will you be returning it? And I was like, we never received the call. This car's in our name. We never received the call to be returned. And then I asked what I broke exactly. And she said,
why is everything so confrontational and so aggressive? Like, it sounds like they rented a car for something and it has to go back. Okay, like, just return the car. Are you okay? What the fuck is wrong with you? Holy shit.
the car is due to be returned at 5 p.m. Thanks. No clarification on the contract that I didn't sign. No clarification on why the car had to be returned all of a sudden. And so I said I would appreciate clarification on a couple of things. Number one, how did I break contract? You know, I never signed a contract, so how could I break a contract that I never signed? And then I said, two, what contract did I break? Because again, I didn't sign a contract, so I don't know what contract I would have broken. And number three, how am I expected to return a car a week earlier while I'm 20 hours away from where I would be dropping it off so that you can get some of your money back?
The thing, this is really small. She said, have you returned the rental car that we paid for? He said, did I break contract? And she said, yes, the car has been called in to be returned today. Will you be returning it? I don't know if when he says, did I break contract there, was he talking about a contract that he signed, or did he just mean the general rental agreement? That's how I would read that. It sounds like the rental agreement said that the car was supposed to be returned. Did I break contract? Yeah, the rental car needs to go back. Not, but, okay. He said, nobody called us, and what did I break exactly? And then her response was, the car is due to be returned at 5 p.m. today, thanks. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Money back whenever you have the time is completely fine. And I've yet to get a response from her, but fingers crossed. And later on that day, I got a phone call from the coordinator of this trip, and this is that phone call in its entirety.
Hello?
Hey, Peyton. Sorry, I was driving in a dead zone.
Oh, you're fine.
So I'm not kind of sure what you heard there, but...
I didn't hear anything.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, yeah, the last few days have happened. They've been what they've been, and, you know, it's in the past. I think the most important step right now is kind of what happens immediately, what happens kind of going forward. And, you know, I will say, I know you're still planning on coming to Texas this week. We have made sure that our security knows that if you come anywhere near the influencers, we've had a number of them say they've been uncomfortable with this situation, so they're going to remove you from any private property that we're at. That being said, the university is public property. If you're going to show up, you're going to show up. I would advise against it. I think there's going to be a significant amount of drama and chaos there, and I mean, if that's the point of this, then you know, that is what it is, and there's nothing that I'm going to say that's going to talk you out of that. But I just, you know, advise you to look within and figure out what the best option for you and your content and your following and your conscience going forward is.
Yeah?
That was, I don't know who this guy is, but that's a fair statement. Sounds pretty fair. If you come on any private property that we have authority over, we're calling the cops. I recommend not going to the university, but it's public property. If you want to go, obviously you can go. Yeah, and that's it. That's a pretty fair statement, I think. We covered all his bases.
Okay.
The rental car needs to be returned in Philly on the 28th.
Yeah,
if
it
it goes after, then I've told the rental car company they've got permission to report it as stolen. And
okay.
That's just, you know, what we do as a company policy.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, obviously, yeah.
We've gone ahead and we're going to pull you off the website tomorrow. We've gone ahead and deactivated your Blue link, so that's, you know, kind of good on our end. Is there anything on your end that you wanted to bring up or talk about?
I don't know what would have made anybody uncomfortable about me calling her out, I guess, personally.
I mean, she was standing up for her people. I mean, I watched the live. I heard it. I think that we had incredibly different interpretations of what was said, as does the fact that, you know, we haven't had a single influencer decide or reconsider their involvement in the tour other than yourself.
Damn.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh boy.
Sure.
As the lead organizer, is it the best look when being told not to go up there to go up there anyway and behave the way she did? Because honest to God, these are 5 people who have nothing to do with any of this at all, who were just voicing opinions that they had. I don't care if they said that we should all die, you know what I mean? Like, is that the best look for her to be doing? Especially as a white woman, I will say.
Damn.
I think
White.
that she's always
White.
been very overprotective of the people that work for her and that support her, and she felt like those people were being called out in an unfair manner, and her mama bear energy kind of took over, and it happened. And you know, I think that that's an admirable trait to have. Whether the energy was channeled in the best way is really up for an individual kind of perspective. But
And the individuals involved did feel that it was racially motivated, correct?
I mean, I haven't heard them say that themselves.
They did in the comments of my video, actually. You can go check if you'd like.
No, I'll definitely have my team continue to look into that and explore that.
Phenomenal. Okay.
Cool.
Alrighty, well, you know, this is myself. If you have anything else, I'm more than happy to speak with you, and yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I hope you get what you want out of this.
Ooh, passive aggressive. Got him.
Thank you.
Have a good night, Peyton.
You too.
And to top it all off, later that night, I had a conversation with a fellow content creator who I used to like, who used to be friends with me, and this is how that conversation went. I said, hey, he said, yeah. I said, I hoped we could still be friends. If not, wanted to say I like the work you do and best of luck. And then he starts telling me what I'm doing isn't okay, that I'm making the other BIPOC people on the tour feel so fucking uncomfortable with what I'm doing and posting. And he tells me that I should know better. What's the point of picking the same fights that have been tearing the left apart? If I believed in the ultimate goal, which I should, we don't have time for these trivial problems. These trivial problems.
White
these
guy.
trivial problems. And the
You think racism is a trivial problem? You would think that as a white man.
first thing that bugged me, the first thing that I asked him about was the fact that I didn't hear about any BIPOC creators who would have cared about my video. I've not lost friends over this. And also, why would it matter if they did find it some sort of way? Like, why would that matter in the case of her being racist? So after I got these messages from him, I started to think, why the fuck is everyone focused on the video that I made? The video that I made. The fact that my video was uncalled for. I shouldn't have made that video. I'm just trying to divide people, and not the actions of the subject of the video. But we'll circle back to that point. I said, if we take these things lightly now, we end up back here eventually. I don't know what you mean by arm themselves. I didn't call out any creators whatsoever in that video, and I have nothing but respect for the people involved outside of the person who chose to put herself in that position and behaved in that manner. That's not okay. And if we don't call it out when it happens, this shit adds up. I said the reason we keep having these same fights is because shit like this keeps happening and swiftly pushed aside as an overreaction and counter to the cause. Like it's something to be addressed later, like the problems of black people always are when it comes to the rest of these movements. All of the progress we've made in this country has been built on the backs of black women
people
organizing, putting in the work, getting on the ground. And then when they raise any concerns whatsoever, they're swiftly pushed aside as counter to the movement, counter to the cause, something to be addressed later. He says, dude, fucking stop. You are doing the exact shit you are pretending to fight right now. How? And then he says, I'm way too white to have an opinion on this when the people on the tour who are BIPOC that I am making uncomfortable don't feel this way. I need to stop. We'll get back to the way too white thing in a second, but again, stop using the opinions of black people as
He might be white, but he's using his whiteness to amplify black voices. So it's fine.
a political tool to make your fucking point. Just because Candace Owens agrees with the right doesn't mean that all black people do. And if you feel like me interjecting myself to call out a racist white woman is me being way too white to consider her actions racist, especially when I'm echoing the voices of the black women who were on that live receiving her racist statements. And anyone would know that if anyone reached out to them whatsoever, instead of being like, what does my black friend think about this? And so I broke down for him exactly why XYZ's actions were not acceptable. I said 4 hours into a live, being told not to interject herself, not just because she's a white woman and shouldn't, but because she's the face of organizing for this entire tour, because she can say nothing to help and it's not her place. She still hopped on, she immediately started talking down to them, and yes, intentionally or unintentionally, spoke in microaggressions and was racist towards them, and it gave horrible optics to the campaign. And then she tried to lie about contracts that I didn't sign, and she did all of this while taking zero accountability. And I said, this is what creates broken systems and twisted change, a foundation of things we should have been calling out if only the timing were right. And I said, there is a world where we can fight against this regime while not also being
Somebody said a comment, but it would have been, I can think of like it even funny or whatever, but like somebody said, this guy would have been amazing during Keep or Kick. We should have done a whole Keep or Kick episode with all the creators and Z and this guy, and then we could have solved once and for all who was in the right.
Racist and allowing people who behave in this manner to lead our campaigns, and we live in that world. And I said, now it's getting a little concerning seeing absolutely nobody else even acknowledging any wrongdoing whatsoever, whether you feel my video or reaction were justified, not at least admitting to an overprotectiveness that presented as racially charged statements and sentiments is disappointing. I said, I'm also not too white to call out someone who I was linked to professionally, who I witnessed behave in an incredibly unprofessional and racist manner. It's not right to allow it to be swept under the rug, which is exactly what would have happened as it did in the past for her. I don't need help getting views. I'm not doing this for clout. I could give a fuck about money. We are doing this because it's right. I said, if we are truly focused on combating regression and not just clicks and views, which are important, that also includes calling this behavior and those who perpetuate it out. And he said, K dude, make your choices. And I fucking am. I promise this isn't something random. This is all relevant. Guess what? Do you see this nice car?
What?
Do you see this BMW?
That car was built by black slaves, by the way, by his great-great-great-grandfather, and he's here to apologize for it.
Guess who rented that BMW for me?
Oh.
I'll give you a million guesses. It's the Unfuck America tour. So they rented me this car, not for like 2 days, right? They rented this car for me for 2 full weeks. Every other creator was flying out there, right? That's what I heard. Oh, we're booking flights, right? And I was like, hey, what if I rented a car? And they were like, how long do you need it? And I was like, 2 weeks, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? Drove to Colorado. We're here in Colorado. Obviously didn't go to Texas. Now, why is this important? This is important because I know that some black creators who were going on this tour had to pay their own way. They paid for their own travel or lodging or both. That is not okay. I'm getting these things.
Well, hold on. Just to be clear for the story that he's telling, the issue is that there was like some fuck up in compensation, I think. He's trying to make it sound like the way that the tour went was the white people got paid for, and the black people were forced to pay their own way. But I think it sounded like there was just like a payment error or something is what happened, but okay.
Barely even asking, getting these things. And these people have to pay their own way. Why? I think we can find the answer in the fact that there were black creators who were asked to go on this trip and felt like it was an afterthought because they were only asked after people were noting a lack of diversity on this trip. Now, I'm not...
Notice what he's saying there, right? They were only asked after people were noted that there was a lack of diversity. Let's say that that is true, right? What the fuck are you supposed to do? Let's say that you legitimately fucked up and you're like, fuck, this should have been a more diverse thing. And then somebody brings it up and you're like, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, we should invite more people. And then you invite more people, and then someone looks at you and is like, you're only doing this because somebody brought it up. And it's like, yeah, somebody brought up a criticism. I actually thought it was valid, and so we changed our behavior. Isn't that exactly what you want? Why would you punish somebody rhetorically for doing exactly the thing that they should be doing? What?
Saying this is true, but it does seem like, and it's being echoed by the people involved, that you were reaching out to black creators late in the game because you had a noted lack of diversity that people were questioning about this tour.
Save the left? I don't know who it was. Somebody with 300,000 Instagram followers DM'd me on Instagram and they were like, can you head the, or do you want to head the Unfuck America tour? And I said, I'm probably way too edgy for this group of people. I have no idea who that was. I wonder if that was a legitimate offer. Maybe I should message her back. There's no way that I could do this right now though. Okay. I'm a alleged rapist at the moment, all right? We have to clear our name first.
And instead of reallocating resources and being like, we need to correct our mistake ourselves, you left it up to these black creators to pay their own way instead of admitting your mistake and owning up to it and facing the consequences. And that's not okay, especially when I was asked late in the game and I got all of these things. I was not asked that long ago to go on this trip, and I know of at least one black creator who was asked before me to go on this trip and still had to pay their own way. And that is not okay. That's why these things matter. We cannot take these things lightly when they happen just because you think this person who genuinely, truly has things to deconstruct should be in a position where it is crucial she is making the right decisions. And we've already touched on it a couple times in this video, but the thing that I want to leave you guys with is this. We have to stop this, well, we have our cake, what are we supposed to eat it too? Mentality. There is no reason why we can't call these people out for having to still deconstruct. It's fine. You're still deconstructing your racism. But we have to call these people out and push them to the back of the line until they have figured out how to address these things within themselves.
You're literally a victim of revenge porn, by the way. I don't think I am, actually. I thought I was. But then I saw the unhinged, the unhinged defense of that PI that was submitted to the court last night by apparently somebody having a seizure. And I realize now that I am not, okay? I'm a bad actor, malicious.
She does not have to be in this organization position, and the idea that you guys are protecting her out of some sort of like, well, it's gonna ruin the movement. It's infuriating. Imagine how many people would have gotten on board if you guys heard about this and said, wow, fuck this person. Who should we have in this? What mistakes did we make? Get her to the back of the fucking line. She has a lot of things to figure out. Maybe we have something else that she can do that's not involving these critical decisions that need to be made for this massive tour. We can absolutely call out this behavior and get people like this out of organizing positions while moving the movement forward, like while progressing. I don't understand.
I might read it tonight. Maybe I can. I have to read the public thing though, because some of the things were filed under seal. And I don't know what I have access to that's not public, and I don't want to fuck up and make something public that's not supposed to be.
Understand why whenever the voices of black women or black people in general are raised during times like this, when microaggressions like this are happening, we look back 20 years on that and we go, wow, that behavior was awful. If only we would have called it out at the time.
But now,
we can call it out at the time.
Right now, yes.
And get her out of this position while having someone more qualified to organize it. It doesn't make sense why everyone would be so apprehensive to this unless
they're racist.
It's just about fucking money. But that's not why we do this. We do not do this for money. We do this to progress. We do this to build community. And you cannot build community without black women. You can't build community without black people. And constantly trying to silence them and call their behavior out as aggressive, their behavior out as counter to the movement. What do you guys mean you're calling all this stuff out? Well, then she got up there to be a mama bear, and now what? She's a bad guy for that? Yes. Yes. We have to stop this behavior or it's gonna keep ending up this way. It will keep ending up this way over and over and over and over again because little things like this, they add up. They lead to a fractured foundation and eventually it will all collapse again and we will be right fucking back here. And to the massive creators who absolutely knew about this behavior prior to going to this event, which absolutely bombed, we know who you are. And if you want, I can show proof.
Wow.
The Unfuck America Scandal, Part 1.
Okay.
What no one else is willing to say. By CFH Unfiltered. Before I say anything else, let me be clear.
Anything else?
No one on the Unfuck America tour was a racist. I truly believe that everyone involved wanted to make a difference in this country. We came with good intentions. We showed up to fight for democracy, for truth, and for the communities we care about. But someone is getting dragged under the bus. Half-truths are being told, misinformation is being spread, and I'm not here for it. I try to be an honorable person, to do the right thing. I've lost sleep over this. I've been neglecting my family over this. I've been sorting out all the information, and this article is detailing the conclusion I've come to. All but a few names have been redacted in these signal messages, the messages that stand out to you. It will be obvious. Are the people making videos and lives about this and or leading the charge to pressure Z to resign from the pack that she founded?
Jeez.
Before I say any more, I recognize my privilege as a white man. I know that as a white person in America, I'm a product of systems built on institutional racism.
Me too, man.
Upheld by norms that have centered white comfort at the expense of everyone else's liberation.
Same.
That's the water we're all swimming in. And pretending it doesn't shape us is part of the problem.
Same. True, King.
Accusations are being made that go far beyond what actually happened. Some creators are publicly calling Z. Cohen Sanchez a racist, a fraud, and a thief. And after sitting with it, watching things unravel, and going back through all of my messages, I believe I have an ethical responsibility to speak up. Not to protect any one person, but to protect the truth and the mission we all signed up for. At this time, I have distanced myself from the rest of the creators and from Unfuck America. I have no plans for what the future holds for my relationship with any of these individuals.
Damn.
Also, it is important to note that I have never met or interacted with anyone on this tour prior to being invited.
Oh.
And finally, it is my intention for this to be the only time I speak on this issue. And look, I'm not exempt from any of this.
Bring
When
up your
things got
whiteness again.
tense, I too started asking questions, as we all should.
Oh.
I started wondering if Z had handled things the right way, or if there was more going on behind the scenes. I personally jumped to conclusions a fair share of times. It's hard not to when over 30 people are involved, and all you're hearing is a storm of he said, she said. But that was part of the problem. Instead of going directly to the source, Z, people started speculating and made damning videos and lives on TikTok that forever marred the reputation of Unfuck America and Z. We didn't center conversations on truth. We centered them on vibes, speculation, narratives, and fears. And that left a vacuum that got filled with chaos. Setting the record straight, what actually happened? There's been a lot of noise online about Z's alleged mistreatment of black creators, but here's what really happened. No one on the tour accused Z of racism, not before the tour, not during the tour, and not immediately after the tour. The only person who made public racial accusations was Peyton Vainist, and even then, he was referring to Z's interaction with black creators who were not part of the tour. Those creators had gone live to air grievances, specifically that they hadn't been invited and didn't feel the tour was diverse enough. But what is important to know is that before this live, Z had already acknowledged criticism for lack of diversity before this went public. She heard the feedback, took it seriously, and actively worked to increase diversity on the tour in real time. She brought in more creators of color. She didn't get defensive. She listened and pivoted.
I thought this was written by Peyton. Is that not the case? No. This is not Peyton. Wait, somebody link that Peyton guy's TikTok too. I'm curious.
And the creators in our internal group, some of whom made damning videos later, they supported her. They responded positively to her apology and transparency, as is shown in the signal messages below. Some even dismissed the creators on the live, referring to them as crazy or drama. But now those same people have done a 180 and are making more content about the fallout than they ever made about the mission. What actually happened on the live? Let's talk about the live stream where things first went wrong, because this is where the public narrative started to unravel, and it's important to get the full picture. A group of black creators who were not part of the Unfuck America tour started a live to air grievances about the tour.
Damn.
They expressed frustration that they hadn't been invited and felt the tour lacked diversity. Some of the black creators who were on our tour joined the live, and tensions rose quickly. There were arguments between the tour creators and the hosts, and things got heated. Z found out about the live and went into defense mode. She was upset because she felt like her POC staff, who had worked hard to build the tour, were being unfairly attacked. She wanted to stand up for them. But here's where Z made a key mistake. The black creators on our tour told her not to join the live. They made it clear that this was a safe space for black women to speak, and that it wasn't her place to jump in. They advised her to listen and not center herself.
Oh my God.
Z didn't take that direction. She went on the live anyway. Misstep 1.
Okay, I might be out of step with maybe current academic or social understanding or whatever, but the concept of a public safe space, in my opinion, is borderline oxymoronic. Okay, safe spaces are incredibly important. All right, they have a soy name, and some people might think that they're soy, but we all cherish them. We all value them. A safe space is a place where you can go to be around people that are of a similar type as you for the thing that you want to talk about, where you can kind of vent or talk and not have to worry about constantly hedging what you're saying or constantly worrying about like judgment from other people. Okay, so you might say things that aren't like politically correct, or you might say things that are like insensitive towards a group that you want to talk about, but like it's just a place where you can go and vent and be understood by those people and just not have to worry about constantly qualifying anything. That's the whole point of a safe space, and they're valuable for everybody, for white men or for black people or for women or for whatever, any group, disabled people, right? It's just a nice place to go where you can vent about an issue and you don't have to worry about the feelings of the other people that you might be venting about. All right. For some people, this might be a place in their college dorm. For other people, it might be a Call of Duty room, okay, where we can vent all the N-word. I'm just kidding. To have something called a safe space and then to utilize that safe space to publicly vent, That's, in my opinion, that is super inappropriate, and it is a super disgusting weaponization of what a safe space is. Because a safe space definitionally shouldn't be a place where somebody can confront you in an aggressive, confrontational manner, especially from an outside class or group, right? They shouldn't be confronting because that defeats the whole purpose of a safe space. Now it doesn't feel safe anymore. But if you're publicly broadcasting that safe space, you're weaponizing a space where you're supposed to be enjoying some level of invulnerability to criticism, and now you're using it to criticize somebody else. That's bullshit, in my opinion. Unless there's some other academic concept or some other social concept of a safe space that I personally am just not aware of, that, in my opinion, that's bullshit. But okay.
And on that live, Z entered a safe space for black people and became defensive. Misstep 2. And she admitted that. She acknowledged that she let her frustration get the best of her. She apologized to the group immediately afterward, not days later, not under pressure. Immediately. She didn't run from accountability. She sat with it and owned it. Here's what the group chat actually shows. No one in our internal creator group called Z a racist. No one accused her of committing microaggressions in that moment. The group advised Z to get off the live, not because she said anything offensive, but because she was defensive and it wasn't her space to lead. Z accepted that feedback and took responsibility right away. In response, the team offered options. Other staffers were made available to creators who might have felt uncomfortable. But no one at the time said they felt unsafe or unwilling to work with her. In fact, creators of color were among the most vocal in supporting Z after the tour ended. We were all on the same page. My group chat shows that. I encourage you to watch the live in question here. Z enters around the 4-hour, 20-minute mark. Below are select screenshots from the group chat while the live was happening. I cannot put them all up here because there are hundreds, and I am not trying to air more dirty laundry or expose any individual. I am just trying to bring rationale and facts back into the conversation.
Damn.
Let's be clear, this wasn't racism. It was a misstep, and she owned it. There's a difference between someone who's racist and someone who unintentionally causes harm while trying to help. Based on Z's own words,
Didn't they want a safe space for white people during segregation? Destiny, it can be discriminatory now. Discrimination isn't necessarily bad as long as you're not losing access. As long as you have like a compelling reason for it, and somebody's not like losing access to something or a big opportunity as a result of it. So, for instance, women's gyms are fine because there are plenty of gyms that men can go to. They're not losing access to something really important, and there's a sound rationalization for why you would have a women's only gym. But if you had like a woman's gym that also doubled as like a financial advisor center and a place where people can get together and talk business tips or whatever, like there's a point to where you can do so much with this that now it's like, wait a second, I don't think you can just have this as a women's only space. This is just discriminatory now. Yeah.
she didn't enter that space with ill intent. She got defensive in a moment when she felt her POC staff were being attacked. In doing so, she may have interrupted or overshadowed a space that wasn't hers to lead. That's a microaggression. It's real. It caused harm, and it is completely valid for the black women who hosted that live to name and express that. Most importantly, Z took responsibility for it immediately. From my understanding, Z or someone on her team reached out to those original hosts, and they came to an understanding. I don't know what that conversation looked like, but I do know this. Many of the black creators on the tour expressed support for Z. They told her, privately and publicly, that they believed the women on the live were trying to stir up drama, not hold space for real accountability.
Wow.
So let's be clear. A racist doubles down when called in. A leader listens, apologizes, and learns. Z did the latter. That doesn't erase the harm. But it does matter. And if we can't tell the difference between a racist and a flawed ally trying to grow, we're not practicing justice. We're practicing punishment. We're practicing cancel culture.
Truly the important issues of our time. Anything else? Texas images? I don't know. I'm guessing it's probably just the creator saying like, hey, Z, chill or whatever. And she's like, okay, something like that. That's what it sounded like. Jesus Christ. The Unfuck America Tour team is strongly encouraging y'all not to engage with these individuals. They don't want productive conversations, rather confrontation. Damn. So would segregated schools be okay if they offered equal quality of education and opportunities? I believe that the issue is there's not a compelling reason for the segregation. So there is like a compelling reason for like segregated gyms, for instance, sex segregated gyms. I don't know if there's a compelling reason for segregated schools by race. However, there are the equality of opportunity, I believe. I'm trying to remember if that was a Supreme Court case we read. We read that. It was like 12 pages, I think, that decision. Fuck. This is Brown v. Board? Sorry. Yes. This is like a 12-page decision. It's funny that you say that. When you say that, would it be okay if it was equality of opportunity? The court, I think the Supreme Court, a good amount of their decision relied on the fact that it wasn't equal opportunity. That did seem to be a major driving influence in that court decision. And I think a lot of the underlying cases that they decided, or the cases that had made their way up and were combined, I think, for the Supreme Court ruling, demonstrated that like the opportunities available at these schools are widely disparate, which is one of the reasons I think why it got ruled as unconstitutional, the separate but equal doctrine.